Hi y'all, I just wanted to show you a couple plants up here in the High Sierra, California. I just hiked to this high elevation lake. It was really wonderful and got to swim, get away from the heat down below. A couple things I found interesting. There's a species of pedicularis in the meadow that I hiked up through to get here. That's a mini version of the elephant's head pedicularis, and of course I haven't got my scientific names down yet. I just looked them up, but then there's this other one that's flowering right now. At least some of them are, but they're not very abundant. At least I haven't found any big fields of it, but it's this yellow one. I think it's called like ground loosewort or something. I guess loosewort is another name for pedicularis sometimes. Pedicularis is its genus, but I just call it pedicularis. Some people out here will call certain species elephant's head, the one that's called elephant's head, because its flowers look like big elephant heads. This one's flowers don't have that characteristic. I'm not gonna make medicine out of this one because I don't see very much of it, and unless I saw a huge amount, I would make some for personal use maybe, but the mini elephant's head that I saw out in the meadow, there was like a ton of that, so I made a little bit of that medicine because I'm almost out. I had some from the East Coast, the Pedicularis canadensis, and then I had some that my friend made, Erin, the big elephant's head. I know I should have my scientific names down, but she had given me some of hers that she made up in Oregon at Mount Hood. And I'm almost out of that, and it's a wonderful skeletal muscle relaxant medicine. It's not necessarily like all around nervine like other herbs can be, but certain things I do with my body, at the end of the day, I feel tight and wound up or achy, and I think that pedicularis is probably good for that. I mean, it helps me. So some other plants here. Fir, see up at in the High Sierra, it's still almost like late spring, and so you can still collect fir tips, which I did this morning and yesterday. Ooh, so much vitamin C, and they're so soft, succulent. I'll probably tincture some, maybe make vinegar out of some. Some people put it in oil and use it in cooking and baking and stuff. One way to tell a fir from a spruce or from some other conifer, that fir has a rounded tip on the end of its needles, and spruce has spikes. Scary spruce, friendly fir. There's a bunch of different pines here, and I have learned them, but I'm always sort of trying to make sure I get them right, And what I've seen here today is lodgepole pine, which has 2 needles, and so it's the only tree up here that has 2 needles, so that's pretty easy. And then there's ponderosas and Jeffreys, which all have 5 needles, and sometimes they hybridize. One of the biggest ways, the cones are one way to tell those 2 trees apart. Like Jeffrey's pine cones, then spike folds inwards. I believe this is one. And then ponderosas don't. And Jeffrey pines have sort of a scattered top to them. Their crown doesn't really just have like a single point that just comes up. Ponderosas do. So there's some of both of those, but again, they hybridize, so sometimes you just can't tell. There's also a little bit of sugar pine up here, and they have really short needles. And they have really long cones. The longest cones of any pine, I think. So, looking around because people come on the trail. I'm embarrassed that I'm making a video. Some other things I saw today, penstemon. I drew some penstemon last year, remember when I was at the Crofts place. Really enjoy that plant. Maybe arnica, I tried to ID it. They're hard. Could be some sort of mule's ear, but like a narrow leaf mule's ear, but it looked like maybe could be arnica. It was up in an area that had burned a few years ago, maybe uva ursi. Lots of lupines in flower, some buckwheat. Is that what it's called? Yeah, it's a pink flower. Delphiniums. Oh, aspens. That's kind of cool. I'm actually near one right now, near a grove. They're pretty small little groves. They have signs up here saying that they've been cutting conifers to try to keep the aspen grove healthy, of course. If there was a fire that wiped out the aspens and all the conifers, it would just like make the aspen grove really happy, but not fires here all the time. So beautiful. It was so fun to see that pedicularis. I went for a swim and was sitting on the shore, drying off, and then I looked down and I was like, wait, that looks like a pedicularis, but it looks more like the ones I've seen out east. And then I looked closer and there was the yellow flowers, and then I ID'd it, and immediately I was like, oh, yeah. I'm seeing right now too the gooseberry. I still get currants and gooseberries mixed up sometimes. I should probably have that down, but I'm seeing some, here it is. Some of them have spiky fruits by my campsite. There are some green spiky fruits from that plant. That's like some way to definitely tell it's a ribes or ribes, the genus. I've seen silk tassel. Sometimes gets confused with manzanita, but I've seen it enough around here now that I feel like I got it down. Oh, there's horsetail down there. Some Mariposa lilies, that was really cool to see. Some cute ones, just like a couple on top of the hill that burned. Some Phacelia, is that how you say it? Phacelia, something like that. Like that genus is easy to tell. It has the curled thing like comfrey has. The curled flower raceme, maybe. Yeah, I think that's all I'm gonna say for now. Here's the trail. I'm past the lake now, so no lake view. Alright, thanks y'all.